Okay, I'd like to bring this meeting to order. The Villagerville Park Board of Trustees meeting, August 22nd, 2022. Clerk Carnecki, please call the roll.
Yes, Trustee Salella.
Here.
Trustee Corkery. Trustee Kozar. Trustee Kumar. Trustee Murphy. Here. Trustee Patrick.
Here.
President Kazone.
Here. And will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we could please remain standing. Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together this evening. May we have meaningful discussions that will help us to assist our village in these trying times. Help us to make the decisions that will affect the staff, directors, and residents of Villa Park. Guide us through the challenges we face, and may we approach each other with respect and kindness as one group. In your name, amen. Amen. Okay, we've got a couple of presentations this evening. The first is a life-saving award, and Chief Rakosnik, would you take the stand?
Well, good evening. It's a special night for probably two people in here for sure. One I know for sure is a special night, but this is a very happy presentation that we make. We don't make these too often, but this is a special night. So back on July 18th, around 3:30 in the afternoon, a person went to Mickey's Hot Dogs to get a hot dog, and so he ordered his hot dog, sat down, and apparently started eating them. And he began to choke, and so he was choking so bad he thought he could leave and maybe go outside and get relief somehow. In the meantime, somebody inside Mickey's Hot Dogs called the ambulance, but a very observant worker there, Christopher Bruder, he's in the back, noticed this gentleman having a hard time breathing, and he was choking, went outside, approached him. He did the Heimlich not once, but twice, dislodging the hot dog and french fries that were trapped in his throat where he couldn't breathe, ultimately saving his life. What a wonderful thing. I've been here 10 years in Villa Park. There's a lot of great people in this town. Christopher Bruder, you're one of them, and God bless you and thank you. So tonight we do have Chris Bruder come on up, and we have Randy Smarzewski as well in the audience. Randy is the one who received the Heimlich. Christopher's the one who gave the Heimlich. And God bless him. We have a plaque for Christopher Bruder. I'm going to read it to the audience. Life-Saving Award. Presented to Christopher Bruder in recognition of your selfless and courageous act of rendering aid in a sudden and unexpected situation on July 18th, 2022, which resulted in the preservation of a life. The Village of Villa Park Board of Trustees, August 22nd, 2022. So Chris, thank you. Chris or Randy, would you like to say a couple things? It's up to you. All right, Randy, come on up. Randy Smarzewski.
I have been thinking of something to say for many nights, many sleepless nights, and the only thing that I could say is just thanks for having my back.
All right, thank you again, and congratulations to Chris, and God bless both of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
If somebody insists, I'll do it. Good staff. Not that,
Oh, yeah. Okay, moving on, we have another little proclamation, a little presentation. Our Fund Commission and their search for the oldest tree in Villa Park.
where you want?
Thank you for having us this evening. My name is Leslie Allison CI, and I am the chairperson of the Villa Park Fund Commission, and this is Commissioner Mary. And this is kind of her project that we are going to talk about very briefly here today. Recently, we had a resident of the village come to us, Steve Della Rosa, with a great suggestion, which was, we have trees in this town that are probably up to 300 years old. And why don't we find out where the oldest tree is in Villa Park? And so we did a little research, and Purdue University actually has a great site where they teach you how to measure your tree to find out how old it is, because different trees age differently and in different environments and circumstances. And so we have all of that online now so that you can take a look at that. And we will be starting the contest. The contest starts today, right now. And it will go through, we will take submissions through September 26th. The winner will be announced at an October village board meeting, fingers crossed. And that winner will receive a $50 Visa gift card, and hopefully we'll have a surprise celebrity, local celebrity. Yes, I wonder who that could be. Announce the winner at that point. So in the meantime, I'm going to let Mary talk a little bit about what you need to do in order to measure your tree.
Hi. It's really, really simple. We're going to have this 2-page flyer in Village Hall, and we're going to post the important side, which is this QR code, on the kiosks on the Prairie Path. And it's a very simple mathematical process that you have to do. You have to do the diameter, or the circumference of the tree. Then you find the diameter by dividing that by pi, 3.14. And then you find the growth rate on a chart, which is all on this Q code information, and multiply that, and you have the age of your tree. I did it to my neighbor's sycamore tree the other day, and that tree was like 99.33 years old. That's just in the tree bank. We have this information. District 45 was really kind enough to let us put it on their backpack, electronic backpack system. So these flyers are going out to everyone in District 45. So hopefully we can get families out looking at trees, trying to decide which one they think is going to be the oldest. And it'll be a real fun community project. There's a little bit of science, a little bit of math, a little bit of history when you start thinking about what was happening when this 99-year-old tree was being planted, and we hope a lot of community pride. So thank you very much, and we hope you all get out there and find a tree to measure. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is my tree measuring packet. So what I have is my measurer, and I went out to measure the one tree, and I thought, oh, 8 feet should be enough. But I needed 13 feet to go around the one tree. So I just put a piece of string and put at every foot, that is, so I could easily measure any tree I see when I'm out walking. Thanks.
Thank you. And see, when you asked your algebra teacher, what am I going to use algebra for? You're using it. Thank you. Okay, we're going to go to item 4A, which is a proclamation for Library Card Sign-Up Month. And whereas libraries and librarians play a crucial role in the education and development of children, and whereas librarians are literacy experts, offering everything from preschool story hours to summer reading clubs that sustain school year learning, and whereas libraries provide a learning environment that fosters a joyful exploration, encouraging students to research subjects that are genuinely curious about, and whereas librarians create a welcoming and inclusive space for people of all backgrounds to learn together and engage with one another, and whereas a library card empowers all people to pursue their dreams, explore new passions and interests, and find their voice, and whereas the village is fortunate to have access to the Villa Park Public Library, which is constantly transforming to deliver new services that connect closely with the community needs. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Nick Cazzone, President of the Village of Villa Park, along with the Board of Trustees, do hereby proclaim September as Library Card Sign-Up Month in Villa Park, Illinois, and encourage everyone to sign up for their own library card today. And we have someone from the library. Yes.
Yes.
Good evening. My name is Candace Krutler. I'm Deputy Director and Head of Circulation and Outreach Services at the library, and I wanted to thank President Nick Cazzone and the Village Board for recognizing National Library Card Sign-Up Month with that proclamation. And I'm also here this evening to present our new village manager, his library card to the Villa Park Public Library. So I would like to
Yeah, did you want to?
Okay, all right. And then I just have some handouts for the village board and some bookmarks about a wrap up from our summer reading program that we just finished at the beginning of August. So.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really quickly, thank you for the job you do. I remember as a kid reading a lot of these. There's a series of these little orange books that were biographies, and I learned a lot of my love for reading in a public library, and I love to read biographies even to this day. So thank you for the job you guys do.
Yes, thank you. Have a good evening.
Filled out the application.
What's the first one? Okay, we are moving on to item number 5, public comments on agenda items. Do we have anyone signed up?
Yes, first one is Jeannie Nicholson, 9A, regarding 9A.
Hi, I'm Jeannie Nicholson, and I want to be 3 minutes. I feel that if the building goes up, the gazebo will go down. When there are events at the gazebo, tenants in the new building will complain of the loud music, traffic, cars taking up parking spaces, etc. Increased traffic will be hazardous for those attending events at the gazebo. The entrance where the performers enter and drop off their gear is dangerously close to the street, making it not only hazardous for them, but also hazardous for oncoming traffic. The street lanes are narrow. I have photos of cars parked on both sides of the Prairie Path, Park Boulevard and Central, from Ardmore Avenue to Harvard. I have photos of parking lots filled to capacity by the gazebo, of cars parked on Princeton and Highland Avenues. The parking lot across the street north of the gazebo is shared by 2 churches, businesses, funeral parlor, and apartment renters. Out-of-towners who are on the Prairie Path and passing through Villa Park may enjoy sitting on our many benches purchased by the residents. Everyone is in awe, hearing the music, seeing yoga being performed, children playing, etc. at the gazebo. I am sure this helped Villa Park receive the honor, recognition of being the best place to live and the best place to raise a child. You may think or argue that we have enough outdoor stages and losing the gazebo would not be that great of a loss, but there can never be enough live music events. Music heals the mind, body, and soul. Being able to walk to a live performance and not worry about parking is very special. The parking lots across from the gazebo are used by children to play street hockey, do wheelies on their bikes, etc., which they can no longer do in the streets of their neighborhood. If a building was not built on this corner lot and instead turned into a parking lot, there would be 2 parking lots side by side. These parking lots would be greatly needed if there was new development on Ardmore Avenue. If there were parking lots instead of a tall building across the street, it would hold true to Villa Park, the Garden Village.
30 seconds.
I could get businesses, manufacturers, residents, etc. to contribute money for the landscaping in the parking lot. Trees or evergreens planted along the alley for a backdrop to hide the rear view of buildings. Flower gardens spaced along the sidewalks so out-of-towners using the Prairie Path could see we hold true to our name, the Garden Village. Students from nearby schools or residents from the area could volunteer to tend to the garden. That's it. Oh, gosh.
Just in time. Thanks, Jeannie.
Thank you.
The next one is Patrick Timms, 9A.
Thank you. I rise in strong opposition to this. Please, instead of looking around, please. As the former chairman of the Environmental Control Board, I brought commingled recycling to this town. I changed the mosquito abatement for this town. And I can tell you that I have a long history of watching this town, village, put 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag or do nothing at all, like Ovaltine, for 15 years, creating an attractive nuisance for children who used to play in the basement when the water was full. Please, reconsider this. Make it fit the size of the lot. I really appreciated one trustee's comment about why do you need 2 bathrooms in a 1-bedroom apartment? And this is supposed to be affordable? Thank you for your time.
Okay, next one is Amy Pessow.
Hello. I spoke last time, but I felt that strongly, so I wanted to speak again about item 9, which is the variances requested for the apartment complex over on Park. So the first reason is the parking requirements. So I'm only going to address the 2 that were under not approved by the zoning. The parking requirement of 1 spot per bedroom with no guest parking is too low. I know that's not up for debate during this meeting, but I do think it's something of note for future code discussions, because having formerly lived in different apartment complexes, you have guests and you have overnight guests. Another factor is he argued last meeting that the builder, that he would only rent, to people who had the number of cars that he has available spaces for in the building. But, you know, circumstances change after somebody moves in. Maybe they gain a significant other, decide they want a roommate at a later time. And, you know, that's going to create issues with residents, the police, right, having to deal with people parking on the street or in other people's parking places, you know, with no leeway, right? And asking for even less parking than the code dictates. I do also want to bring up this two bathrooms and a supposedly one bedroom apartment with a den. You know, with the rents the way they are, the economy the way it is, it's very likely that there's going to be more than one person with more than one car in those units, especially, you know, maybe not at first, but later on down the line. So I think those are all something to consider. And then secondly, you know, the lot coverage variation. The stormwater overflow is a concern for the village as it is, and so putting more strain on an aged system does not seem to be the best choice, especially with all of the other variances that are being requested. It, you know, really seems like, I like the analogy from the last speaker of putting a 10-pound pile in a 5-pound bucket. You know, we really need to put a building there that fits the space. We all want development, but the right development for the building or the village. I think a smaller building with maybe less units, possibly removing the second bathroom in those one-bedroom units to alleviate the, you know, ability to easily add a roommate later.
30 seconds.
And, or possibly townhomes would be a very nice fit for that space. But I really feel that a 4-story, 24-unit building is too much for that little space, and that the builder should have more closely considered the codes when making his plan, rather than asking for, you know, us to change our rules to fit his needs and meet his economic outcomes that he was aiming for. Thank you.
I have no more signed
Okay.
up, others are on the sheet.
We have no one else signed up. Anyone want to come up and speak? If you do, please sign your name when you come up.
I'm addressing actually 2 issues, 10A and 8B. I'm very excited about this new tri-trail connection, because being part of the 2012 VIP Bike Association in Villa Park, we did a circle in the same area that you guys are proposing the new tri-connection. So we're really happy to see it's coming finally into effect for the village. I know that the board is under time restraint tonight to find an engineer to get it, stay on schedule for the November event. But I have some concerns, possibly these might be a later discussion for your committee of the whole. The one thing I'm asking on that thing is, you stated in your discussion that you were just going to put notices on the topics in Village Hall on the wall. I'm just requesting that you put it on the website for those people that don't read the newspaper, because a lot of people don't read the local newspaper, but they will check the website, like our special meetings and other meetings, to just put it there on the village website as part of that. Project objective tonight, you said, was to increase the safety of pedestrian and bikers. I didn't see anywhere in the plan that they had for this civil engineer a traffic study being done by them to solve the solution on Villa Avenue. Are they going to use the village traffic study or the studies from Union and the rec center to make that decision? Because we all know that Park and Central Crossing at Villa is a real issue, let alone Villa and Ardmore, but that's not the issue here. And the other issue is the solution on how we're going to get across Villa Avenue right there at Wildwood, especially with the increased traffic of trucks going down Wildwood, the Union being built, and our rec center. There's going to be probably 3 times as much traffic on that corner. How is it going to be safe for people to cross there? What are we doing in the plan for that? Because we definitely need a future plan for that. In their structure, they also mentioned relocating utilities. Right now, in the plan that was put out,
30 seconds.
most of the area is put in effect on the sidewalks. You've got the map of it, and I'm curious on that structure coming through. Monterey, are they talking doing a flood study in that? Is that a feasibility study they're going to be doing to find out if that section is going to be feasible to use? Or is that something that they're going to set up bridges? Because right now we only have, they notice that a
Time.
bridge study in there put together.
Okay, Cheryl.
I understand, but I have two topics that I was going to discuss.
Yeah, we're trying to keep these to 3 minutes though, please.
Okay, understandably, but I would like the board to at least look into the issues of future things on putting these contracts together, because it is an important issue to go forward, that we get it right instead of fix it later.
If you can also submit those comments and we'll staff will.
I've already had a very deep discussion with Kevin on this,
Okay.
on my concerns.
Okay, we had other people signed up there, whoever signed up.
Good evening, I'm Paul Bucama, Bucama Law Group. I'm here on behalf of Untitled Chapter and Mr. Vince Goldinen. I just wanted to address a couple of issues that were raised in the letters submitted by the developer. First, regarding the fence, but for the development of the apartment complex, we would not be requesting that a fence be installed. The new use would obviously be a residential use. The parking lot is more of an office use. These are both in the mixed-use district. However, you're going to have, cars and headlights and so forth, and but for the new use, there may be a lot more complaints about the parking that would go on in that parking lot. Therefore, I believe a fence here would be good planning. In addition, the trash container receptacle will be inside the building and have to be brought out. And it's going to increase the chance of there being loose waste blowing around in the neighborhood, and the fence would help reduce any waste blowing in the area. Finally, I just wanted to encourage you to give serious consideration to the opportunity here to do wise planning for the next number of decades, whether it be 5 or 10, with respect to pervious surface. That there's a 70% requirement for this area, and I think it would be wise to take this opportunity to make sure that that is complied with in this particular area. Thank you for your time.
Hi, I signed up already. Molly Cars, I live on Princeton. I've spoken a number of times, so this will be short and sweet. Please follow the code, vote no on this proposal. The other thing was I saw a letter that the developer had sent to the board, and he was talking about our concerns. And in one section, he mentioned the different proposals, the variations that they were allowed. And I'm afraid if he gets these variations, or whatever you want to call them, the next person and the next person and the next person will go back to his and say, well, he got this and he got this and there was no problem there. So let's just stick to the code for this. Thank you.
Lacey Bailey. I live on Princeton as well. I'm just saying he's asking a lot from us. 6 code variances. I trust in you and I trust in your judgment to do what you have been elected to do, which is to protect the citizens, the residents, people like me, people like all of these people. Follow the code.
Kim Orman, I'm already signed up here. You guys are used to me by now. So how many times do we have to go over the negative impacts from the increase in alley traffic at the blind Ardmore exit to the inevitable problems with parking? We know the complex isn't going to attract the elusive cyclists peddling their merry way to Jewel in sub-zero temperatures. We get luxury prices without the luxury. The developer has referenced vintage buildings indicating 600 square foot apartments go for about $1,500 per month in the area. Well, I own a vintage building, and my highest price apartment is approximately 815 square feet and runs for $1,125. So no, the development is nowhere near affordable in the immediate neighborhood. And I can't stress this enough, you know, with the bedroom, with the den, we know what's going to happen. I mean, we're not stupid. We, you know, use common sense. It's clear how they're going to be used. You know, more occupants, more cars, more traffic, more crime. Developer said parking will self-regulate. No, it won't. When renters are trying to avoid losing their apartment, parking is going to be the least of their concerns. I've lived in enough apartments myself to know people play games with parking, shuffling cars around, using neighboring lots, and inconveniencing others. The term hardship is ludicrous. The developer chose of his own free will. Nobody put a gun to his head and told him to build this huge building on this undersized lot. You know, you don't make other people pay for your own poor planning. When a resident expressed concern about the effect on solar panels during a meeting, later on the developer said, I can make the building taller. I mean, is this the kind of attitude that we want? I mean, is this the kind of person that we want to cater to? You know, let's give me what I want or I'll harm the community even more. So when the topic of traffic came up, his response was to point the finger at the trucks, you know, the hardworking truck drivers there, you know, who are the backbone of our community, doing their job in all sorts of weather. It's like we've coexisted with these trucks forever. You know, we don't need this. I personally have not seen an attempt to work with the community. Instead, it's all been variance, variance, variance. Why would anybody purchase a piece of property and immediately begin an adversarial relationship with the neighbors? What kind of relationship are there going to be with the tenants of the building going forward? We don't need strife in the community over parking and crime and trespass and car accidents. The developer bragged about a dozen likes on Facebook as this somehow shows support from the community. The city council has been presented with over 500 signatures opposing this monstrosity. Which do you give more weight to? During the last meeting, we were told the developer is being allowed to drain his rainwater into the city sewers. Why is he being allowed to do this when the previous owners of my building were forced to divert rainwater from the city sewer into the alley before they were allowed to sell? Is this developer somehow special? Why can't we all do this? Even if the lot is below code for permeability currently, shouldn't we be striving to meet the code with new developments? If this structure has not come to fruition, it will provide an opportunity for a development that's much better suited for the neighborhood. Nobody's against development. We simply ask the village not to act in haste to promote any development, but to promote the right development. The damage from this building, once built, cannot be undone. Do not allow the neighborhood to suffer so the developer can rake in the cash. 12 seconds to spare.
Hi, I'm Sophie St. Louis, and I live on Princeton. And
I'm sorry, she's a minor. Can I stand next to her?
yeah, absolutely. And me and my brother in the parking lot, we always ride our bikes on there, and we can't really ride our bikes on the busy street because it's too busy, and if a building will be there, me and my brother can't really ride our bike, and also there'll be a lot more trash, and maybe our place will get more polluted.
Very good job. Can you sign your name right here? That's very courageous of you. I can either speak now or just wait. It's up to you guys. Most of us parents don't really get a chance to come to these meetings because we are so busy trying to volunteer in the well-grade of the community of all of the kids here. There are many of us who lived in the city and left for the community of the people, of the amazing people in the city, from the police officers to the teachers to the neighbors. Putting that feel back of a city of all that confusion and not the safety of the well-being of having a place to be one of the best to raise children in is kind of really not attractive to many of us. I have another neighbor who they moved from the city to raise their 2 babies, to have the community of the family, the resources to be able to know that, well, I have a child at Jackson now and I have a child at Ardmore, and they're both walkers from Princeton. I'm sorry, I'm on Princeton.
forgot to say that. They can't do that. How are they going to do that when there's cars already parked with the new parking situations from some really great businesses put in that we all enjoy? They can't cross the street. They zoom down. Nothing's clear. There has to be some sort of safety for them. I'm loving the fact that I'm able to know that I'm trying to build independence with them, and I can stand and see them from the corner go a block and a half down to the crossing guard so that they can learn 2 years of things that they were supposed to get that were robbed of them during the pandemic. Learning how to have that trust and independence and those skills that people don't talk about. Putting all that traffic in there, trying to even cross Ardmore to go to, say, karate is a death show. You can't do it on foot at all, let alone by car. So where are we gonna go? This way and this way and that way? And now I have to worry about, is there gonna be something happen because there's no safety on the fact that there should be something there? You're also taking away from our community space. We pride on knowing that we can walk down the street and see local bands, plays, there's Boy Scout meetings and church things and all these other things. The kids like to meet there and hang out, and we know that they're in a safe area because, let's be honest, we all call it the fish park. For some kids, they're a little too old for it, so they like to be with their friends. There's community get-togethers weekly where the kids just play soccer or football right in that grass area. There's so much you are taking away from them, not to mention you have 2 other buildings that were already approved being built in this town, taking away from community family space. Lions Park, we are losing, I don't know how, our only baseball field with lights. So you want to talk about making it a family
30
community?
seconds.
What can we do to make this all work? Not saying something doesn't have to be built there, but it is really taken away from the families. And I appreciate your time, and we just want to keep it getting stronger for the community we love here. Thank you.
Did you state your name?
Yes, it's Amethyst St. Louis. I'm not even kidding you. I'm sorry. Can't even tell you how many times I gotta say that. If you would like me to spell it, I can.
No, that's fine.
Did not choose it. I was born and got married. Not that creative.
Hi, my name's Anne Marie. I live in Villa Park, and I want to start by saying that I really, really appreciate all the trustees that came and met with our Villa Park neighbor group on a one-on-one basis. Each trustee accepted our invitation and met with us and listened to our concerns. I also want to thank all of the commissioners on the various 2 village commissions that this project has gone through over the last 4 or 5 months, and the time and consideration that they've given to this 9A item 27 West Park, and the staff. Lastly, the staff. I have to say that it's got to be tough answering the questions from residents who don't do this for a living, and there's legal things and a lot of language and measurements, and I don't know exactly how long the village code is. I'd be afraid to ask for the number of pages, but it's big and it's confusing. So that's where I want to start. I just want to thank everyone for the time and attention that they've given to our concerns. I kind of just want to pick up on the comment I was making last time, and it was about the side entrance for the garage. So going back to parking, when the proposal was submitted, it was actually short 12 spaces. 2 of the variances were to give relief. I'm saying 12, it might have even been 13. But one of the variances was the moving the garage. The code requires the garage entrance to be in the alley when an alley is available. So we've got an alley, and for some reason, and it's stated in these documents, it was discussed at prior meetings, that the garage entrance, if it were to be required to be in the rear of the building, a minimum of 7 parking spaces would be eliminated from the proposed plan, making it not viable to develop the site. So then you've got the other variance for 6 spaces. So it started off really, really short of parking. And in several documents, the petitioner says, you know, if a garage entrance were to be required in the in the rear of the building, a minimum of 7 spaces would be eliminated. The site is
30
unique.
seconds.
That it, you know, you can't have it would be dangerous in the alley. So there shouldn't be any alley parking. All the parking should be inside the building. And I'm just trying to point out there was a severe shortage of parking from the get-go that was apparently supposed to be resolved by variances from our codes. And I encourage you to stick to the codes and vote down all these variances. Thank you.
Hello, Mike Zucker. I live on Princeton also. If I can just... I'll say something about the driveway too. So there's a couple things I want to talk about. There is not much that has not been said already over the course of 5 meetings from planning and zoning, safety, and stuff like that. So regarding the permeability issue, I was at the board to take in consideration of how this proposed development fits or stacks up against the code and not what's currently there. That should be our standard. Our minimum standard should be the code, not the current parking lot situation. Also, to add to the Princeton driveway access, underneath the what was it here? The petitioner's narrative, it was stated that it was stated in response to the question of a reasonable return of or use of your property is not possible under the existing regulations because if the garage entrance were to be required on the rear of the building, a minimum of 7 parking spaces would be eliminated from the proposed plan, making it not viable to develop the site. That's the developer's words. So he's requesting that variance specifically for more parking, on top of the not meeting the required parking spots and the other variance. So I'm just asking you, please take the consideration we're talking about tonight, is that it's not just 4 parking spaces, it's at least 11. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Katie Wagner, South Cornell. I am an Ardmore mom, and I have 3 boys. Last year were 2 second graders and a 3rd grader. I don't know the last time anybody's been in an elementary school. It was very crowded. We had 30 kids in each class, 3 classes at Ardmore. We had in 3rd grade 27 to 28 kids in each class at Ardmore. It was tough. I felt for those teachers and our administration. They are amazing. Our admin at Ardmore is amazing, but that is a lot to put on the students and the teachers there. Also during a pandemic. I am concerned about adding this 24-unit apartment. Even if you add just a few families with children, the strain that's going to be added on Ardmore is difficult. That's a lot to ask. We're asking so much of teachers and so much of our administration. They're doing the best they can with what they have. That's a lot to put on them. We even had a hard time. They wanted to hire another teacher. Everyone's heard about the teacher shortage. It is real. They could not hire a teacher last year to open up 4th grade, another class, a 4th class. Luckily this year they were able to, but we don't know if that's always going to be the case every year. So please take that into consideration when you're deciding on this. I'm hoping someone suggested maybe making this a smaller building and targeting it towards a specific need. Which could be affordable housing for our aging population, people who live in that area already in a larger house who are ready to downsize. They want to stay in the neighborhood. This could be a great opportunity for them to be on a 1-story apartment, and they could stay in their neighborhood. Anecdotally, we have a grand friend who was ready to downsize, and luckily, right before the pandemic, she was able to find a house just a few blocks away. Now it is impossible to find a 1-story house south of St. Charles that's going to be affordable for someone who's on a fixed income. So I really would hope that maybe that we can if you want to build something there, I think it would be a great idea, but have it targeted towards a certain population that could fill a need that's there. Thank you so much.
Okay, do we have anyone else that would like to speak on agenda items?
Good evening, I'm Craig Ross. I just wanted to address a couple of things that were recently brought up tonight. So I'll just rattle these off real quick. We were never short 12 spaces. I believe when we came in back in November, 6 was the most that we were ever short. The garage entry was always on the side, it was never in the rear. The garage entry on the side is actually, can be done with an administrative adjustment. It doesn't even require a variance technically, but Ellen Weber had told us to just ask for a variance for it anyway. Someone else had said that in the narrative it said that we said that the garage at the rear wouldn't allow a reasonable return. Those aren't our words. If you look at the narrative, that's actually was written by the Community Development Director, Ellen Weber. That wasn't written by us. I just ask, you know, when you're looking at the variances that you look at them individually, you look at the merits of them individually. And again, this isn't a PUD where you're approving the whole project or denying the whole project. I just want you to look at the actual variances individually. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments on agenda items? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to item 6, amendments to the agenda. Do we have any amendments from the board? Okay, seeing none. We will go to item 7, consent agenda. Item 7A, minutes from the August 8th, 2022 special meeting of the village board and the August 8th, 2022 regular meeting of the village board. And item 7B, bill listing from August 8th and August 15th, 2022 in a total amount of $949,766.70. Do we have a motion? Trustee Kumar.
I will make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second? Trustee Kozart.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, any questions or comments? Seeing none, Clerk Kornecki, please.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Silella?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. Okay, item 8A is the first reading of an ordinance to be codified. It's an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, Illinois, DuPage County, Illinois, to increase the maximum number of licenses permitted under Class EE liquor license. Manager Harline.
The current business Maze Lounge located at 100 East Roosevelt, Suite 5 is being sold to Zachary and Amanda Heidner. Apologize if I got this pronunciation wrong. Maze Lounge currently operates a Class EE license, authorizing the sale at retail in restaurants of beer and wine only to patrons seated at tables on the premise. The current EE license would be surrendered upon the sale of the business to Mr. and Mrs. Heidner. The Liquor Commission has approved the issuance of this license.
Okay. So this is a first reading on this, so discussion. Trustee Kumar.
I propose we waive the reading, the second reading.
Okay, so we have a motion to waive the first reading. Do we have a second on that? Trustee Murphy?
Yes, I'll second that.
Okay. Any questions or comments on that? Trustee Kumar.
Okay, so this is not actually increasing the total number of licenses, they're just changing the class.
Correct, right. We will do away with one and then issue a in placement of it. Correct. Okay, Clerk Kornecki, call on the waiving of the first reading.
Okay, Trustee Silella?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Since I have a liquor license, I'm going to recuse myself.
Thank you. Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. Okay, so we have a waiving of the first reading. Do we have a motion on the ordinance itself? Trustee Corkery.
I'll make that motion.
Motion? Okay, do we have a second? Trustee Kumar?
Yes, I'll second that motion.
Okay. questions or discussions on the ordinance itself? Clerk Konecki, please.
Okay, trustee Patrick?
Oh, that's right.
Was there a question?
You have a question?
Is it going to remain a gaming facility?
Yes, I believe so. I believe it's going to.
Okay, yeah, I don't have an answer to that question right.
I would think so because of the Class E or double E license. That's what it would be for.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, Clerk Konecki.
Okay, trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Solella?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Again, I'll recuse myself.
Okay, thank you. President Kazal.
Yes. Okay, so that will pass. Item 8B is an ordinance amending the Villa Park Municipal Code in order to establish rules regarding the Committee of the Whole. Major Harlan.
The proposed ordinance would establish the rules under which committee of the whole meetings will take place. We've had this discussion in the previous meeting. However, if the first reading is waived, then the committee of the whole meetings under these rules could be held as soon as May 12th, 2022 at 6 p.m. Oh, sorry, September, May, Monday. Now, Monday, September 12th, 2022 at 6 p.m. If the board would prefer to have 2 readings of the ordinance, then a special meeting would have to be called to keep the proposed time and agenda for a meeting on September 12th. This is a change to the code. I understand that that is a common theme to hold these over for a second reading. Either way, I would like to make sure that we hold that time to have the discussion because we're already preparing to try and have some subjects ready. It is up to the board which way you want to proceed. We have had this discussion in a public meeting at the committee or the special meeting that was held last 2 weeks ago.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Kozak.
I'd like to make a motion to waive that second reading.
Okay. We have a motion to waive the first reading. Trustee Patrick?
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, Clerk Konecki, this is to waive the first reading.
Okay, trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Solella?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
President Kazal.
Yes. Okay, so do we have a motion on the ordinance itself for the Committee of the Whole? Trustee Kozar.
I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second? Trustee Patrick? Okay, any discussion? Okay, seeing none. Clerk Konecki.
Trustee Solella?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
No.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
President Kazal.
Yes. Okay, so our first Committee of the Whole will be September 2nd at 6 p.m. right here. 12.
I threw you off.
Okay, Monday, September 12th, 2022 at 6 p.m. here. Okay, item 9A is ordinances, multiple ordinances of the Village of Villa Park, Illinois regarding variations related to the development and construction of an apartment building located at 27 West Park Boulevard in Villa Park. Here's your highlight.
As discussed at the last village board meeting, Ross Builders Incorporated proposes to redevelop a certain property for the purpose of redeveloping, constructing, and operating a 4-story, 24-unit market-rate apartment building with an elevator, individual storage unit on each floor, and with internal and external parking. A total of 6 variations are proposed. 6 variations to the village's zoning code are required in order to allow the development as proposed. Hearings were held before the Village Planning Zoning Commission on the requested variations. The commission voted, actually there are multiple meetings by the way, the commission voted 6-0 to recommend approval of 4 of the variance requests, indicating strict application of the zoning code or unique characteristics of the site create a hardship. The commission voted 3-3 on 2 of the variance requests, with not all the commission members finding the petitioner had sufficiently demonstrated that a variance requests for parking relief and lot coverage are due to a hardship caused by conditions of the site or practical difficulties of the zoning condition, not based on financial return. The village board will consider 6 separate ordinances tonight on this matter, with each ordinance independently addressing a variation requested by the developer related to the subject property. The first two ordinances are were recommended to be, got the 3-3 recommendation or no recommendation, and the second, or the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth were approved 6-0, or recommended for approval 6-0 by the Planning and Zoning Commission. And the one thing I would like to say and repeat, I think it was Anne Marie who made this comment, I do appreciate the effort on everybody's part in listening to the comments and everyone's participation, and particularly the staff and all the work that Michael Guerra, Ellen Weber, Susan McVeigh, Patrick Burke, and other members of the staff put in preparing for this discussion and decision tonight.
Thank you. Okay, so what we are voting on tonight is to vote on the variance themselves. So the first ordinance that we will be voting on is an ordinance of the Villagerville Park, Illinois, granting a minimum parking variation related to the development and construction of an apartment building located at 27 West Park Boulevard, Villa Park, Illinois. Do we have a motion for the variance? Trustee Kumar.
I will make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second? Trustee Corkery?
I will second.
Okay, do we have any discussion on this variance? So we are voting on the variance. Trustee Kozar.
For this to pass or fail, for it to pass, you would need 4 trustees to vote in favor of this.
That is correct.
And that would be the same for the first two, the parking and the lot coverage would require 4 trustees.
That's
For
correct.
the remaining 4, 3, 4, and 5, it would require 3 trustees and the president's vote, or 4 trustees.
That is correct. That is correct.
So, as it pertains to parking, I've spent a bunch of time returning emails and talking to different people in the community. Both these first two, but since we're only talking about parking right now, these 2 variances that were denied by planning and zoning for parking and for lot coverage overwhelmingly have been talked negatively about the residents, and I feel as my duty as an elected official, I need to listen to our constituents. So I can't be in favor of it, not so much from a personal standpoint, but to try to represent everything that I've heard. And that's where I'll be voting on this.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Trustee Kumar.
I wanted to say a few things because we did receive a letter from Craig Ross, and thank you for the letter and the clarifications. I realize you're a very reputable builder, and I have friends who have bought houses that you have built. So saying that, I still feel like you're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. I have some overall concerns with the lack of malleability in terms of things like the fence. It's a very simple fix to put up a fence, and the reply you gave us was that if Sterl's Tapple wants to install a fence, that's pretty much their problem. And that when you have a situation where parking is short, as much as I would like to believe in the renters that rent your place as being 100% honest, following the rules at all times, they are going to choose the spot that's closest to put their car in. And that happens to be this parking lot they're talking about. So a fence will prevent that spillover. And I'm sure that's part of the concern of the person requesting the fence. They wouldn't have this concern if your building wasn't going up. So that's something you have to think about, because there's going to be, I mean, if I needed to park to see someone at that particular slot and there was no parking for me around there, well, guess where I'd put my car. So if I'm going to do that, I'm sure others will, So there's not enough parking in that area as it is, and this parking issue is a considerable issue. And I see not too much give and take in your discussion here, right? You want all these variances, they are against code. There's no reason to give any variances because they're all against code. We're here to, as an entity that's enforcing code, if we want to change it in the future, that's our choice. But at this point, we have to listen to the people of Villa Park, in my opinion, when it comes to code. And there are just too many code restrictions that are being changed here. So that's, and you're asking them, and I'm concerned also about the margin of your profits because you're not willing to give and take at all in what I saw, right? So maybe you're really close to, this is where you make your profits, you're at, close to zero profit, or, somewhere there that you're just not willing to give and take any of these aspects without these particular variances. I'm not 100% sure. So these are concerns I have. Now, I discussed last week about the taxes. I want to clarify some things with that. What you said is true in terms of a building, whether it's 50% full or 100% full, the assessment stays the same. This is true. Okay, this is not, this is a fact that is true. However, for apartment buildings, assessments are based on one of three approaches, and generally the third of these approaches, the income approach, right? They're based on the GRM, or the gross rent multiplier. And this is how assessments are done. So if a bunch of buildings in our neighborhood are not full, what happens is the GRM overall of the area goes down, which means the tax revenue we get on every single property that is a rental goes down. So these are some things to worry about for me when I talked about that. That's what I was trying to say. We've got 3 different apartment complexes. You're the last one to come in to the town. There could be problems there as well. So I wanted to explain that, to explain my understanding to the citizens of Villa Park, basically. So these are all concerns I had. And that's why on many things I will be voting no.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Murphy.
Yes, I just have a couple comments as well. And again, I'm going to piggyback off the other 2 comments about how grateful we are to our commissions, both planning and zoning and traffic and safety. They have spent countless hours and late into the evening reviewing all of this information and giving us the recommendations that they did, along with staff as well. I'm not basing my vote tonight on whether I'm for or against this building. That's not what I've been asked to do. I've been asked to vote independently on each of these variances, and I will be basing my vote on the research that's been done and the recommendations that have been provided, along with resident input in the instances that I most certainly can. I would also like to state that if for whatever reason the building is not put up, I would be in favor of revisiting both the height of the building ordinance as well as how many parking spaces we're saying are required for each of these buildings. That information is predefined in ordinances right now. It's not something we'll be voting on, the height of the building or the floor plan. So I am solely basing my input on each of these variances independently. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, so we are voting on the variance. Clerk Kornecki.
Okay, Trustee Patrick?
I am not in favor of passing this ordinance, no.
Okay, that's a no. Okay, Trustee Sawella?
No.
Trustee Corkery?
No.
Trustee Kozar?
No.
Trustee Kumar?
No.
And Trustee Murphy?
No.
Okay, so that variance does not pass. Okay.
Just because the way the ordinance was written was an ordinance approving the variation, and that ordinance failed to pass, what we need now to close the loop on this item is a motion to deny the minimum parking variation requested by petitioner, and then the village board can vote on that motion to deny that variation.
Okay, so can we have a motion to deny the variance? Trustee Kumar.
I will make that motion to deny the minimum parking variation.
Okay, trustee Solala?
I'll second.
Okay, any questions or comments? Okay. Clerk Kornecki?
Okay, trustee Patrick?
No.
No, you're
Voting against it?
I'm sorry? Oh, yes, I apologize. Sorry about that.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Salela?
Yes.
Preston Kazone?
Yes. Okay, we will go on to the second variance. It's an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, Illinois, granting a lot coverage variation related to the development and construction of an apartment building located at 27 West Park Boulevard, Villa Park. And we have a motion for the ordinance. Oh, I'm sorry, trustee Corcoran. Okay, second?
That's right.
Trustee Slella. Okay, discussion on the ordinance itself. Trustee Murphy?
Yes, I just have one other comment that I neglected to mention, and that's with respect to variances. I confirmed with staff today that more often than not, in most cases, developers are asking for some sort of variances very frequently when they're building. So the request for the variances is not extraordinary. It happens quite frequently. Thank you.
Trustee Kumar?
Yeah, that's realized, and that we often do give variances when there is a need, need that's being met or some kind of hardship. So we expect to be able to give variances in the future too, but that does not mean that we have to give them now.
Okay. Okay, any other- Trustee Kozar?
You know, again, I think what this comes down to, in my opinion, is just the outreach of everybody in the community over this particular issue. I recognize right now it's a parking lot and there's zero, water flow on that. So it will be improved upon what it is, but again, all the neighbors, all the constituents coming here and saying that that was very important to them. Regardless of how I feel it being a parking lot now and it being, better than a parking lot, I'm gonna vote against it to try to represent everything that I've heard here today and for the last several months.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Okay, Clerk Kornecki? Oh, Trustee Kumar?
So we're voting now on the 70% permeability?
That's correct.
Okay.
Clerk Kornecki?
Okay. Excuse me. Trustee Kumar?
No.
Trustee Salela?
No.
Trustee Patrick?
No.
Trustee Corkery?
No.
Trustee Murphy?
No.
Trustee Kozar?
No.
That's it.
Okay, so if we can have a motion now to deny the variance for the minimum lot coverage. Trustee Corkery? And we have a second? Trustee Slella? Any questions or comments on that? Clerk Kornecki?
Okay, Trustee Kumar?
No. I mean, yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Excuse me. Trustee Salela?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. Okay, the third variance, an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, Illinois, granting a parking area design variation related to the development and construction of an apartment building located at 27 West Park Boulevard, Villa Park. Do we have a motion? Trustee Corkery? Trustee Kumar, second. Any questions and comments on this variant? Trustee Kumar?
Can someone explain the reasoning with the
This one is the variance to put,
is to put vertical or
Yes, to
vertical
keep the
parking?
parallel parking spaces.
Okay.
Yes, vertical instead of at an angle.
Right, thank you.
okay,
Comment if time for it.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say I will be supporting this one just because I'm going along with the planning and zoning recommendations going forward. So I feel that the next 4 are site-specific hardship, the first 2 are not.
Okay,
Just to put that out there.
Trustee Kozar.
I'm of the same opinion as trustee Corkery. I did not hear the same level of objection. It went through planning and zoning with lots of discussion. It went through traffic and safety with lots of discussion. I think this is a reasonable variation, so I would be amenable to it.
Our village attorney would like to just explain this a little bit.
And just in a further clarification of the variation, it will allow for a 20-foot parking aisle width when a 24-foot aisle width is required.
It's actually 22.
So the way the ordinance is, Mr. Ross is saying that only 22, the 22 feet is requested for that parking aisle width. Then in that event, I would request that there's a motion to amend the variation ordinance to indicate that a 22-foot parking aisle width is being allowed for by this ordinance.
Technically, it's 21.84, just to be exact. That was misprinted in the writing of the ordinance. We're just looking for 21.84.
Okay.
And that was at the Public Works recommendation.
So we're being told that based upon the plans that were submitted by the developer, the width needed that would be approved by this variation is 21.8 feet, as opposed to what's required is 24. So the way our ordinance is written allows for 20 feet. So we would want to amend this ordinance so it would be.
Requires 24 feet. I'm sorry. Yeah.
But our ordinance is varying it to allow for 20
Gotcha,
feet.
gotcha,
So
sorry.
giving more of a variation than what's requested by the developer.
Just reading. Okay. Okay, so we have a motion to amend the ordinance to read 21.84 feet instead of the required 24 feet. Trustee Murphy.
I'll make that motion, but I'd like confirmation from staff. We're taking the builder's word for it.
I'm actually giving up more.
Yeah.
Maybe over 20.
So why don't we propose the motion that it's consistent to give the parking width consistent with the plans that were presented by developer, which are approximately 21.8 feet.
Okay. Trustee Murphy?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Do we have a second on that? Trustee Corkery? Second? Okay. Discussions on this variance? Trustee Corkery?
Just so I'm absolutely clear, this would bring the building's change would bring it closer to code? It would be closer to being in compliance?
Yes.
Okay.
By like a foot, almost 2 feet.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Seeing no other questions, okay, let's, we have a motion, here, can we have a vote on the motion to amend?
You got one question.
I have a question.
Yes.
So the requirement by the city is 20 feet.
24 feet.
24 feet.
Right.
And you were asking for 20 and now we're at 21.8.
He was asking for 21.8.
21.82.
But the way the ordinance is written says 20, so the ordinance is giving him more than even what's requested. So right now, this motion to amend will make the variation consistent with what's requested by the developer and not more than what's requested by the developer.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're right now voting on amending the variance from 20 to 21 point, the ordinance.
Right. In the petitioner's, what's in the packet in the petitioner's request is the building configuration of the ground floor to accommodate a maximized number of interior parking stalls and viable tenant space on park boulevards, street to have dedicated park building. The required parking stall 18 feet length, preferred 90-degree parking configuration, leave the aisle turning radius to dimension 21.8 less than the required 24 feet, etc., which allows for an easier turning radius into the spaces from 21.82 feet. So it's
Thank you. Okay, so we have a vote on the amendment to the ordinance.
Ready?
Please, yes.
Okay. Trustee Salella?
No.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
No.
Trustee Patrick?
No.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes.
Okay, 4 to
Okay.
3, yes.
Okay, so now we will vote on the actual ordinance, which will allow from 24 feet to 21.84 feet on the turning radius. Any questions or comments on that? Clerk Konecki?
Okay, Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Salella?
No.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
No.
Trustee Patrick?
No.
President Kazone?
Yes. Okay, so that one will pass, as it did in the planning and zoning. Okay, now we will go on to,
That's done, you don't need another motion because it's a positive action.
Correct.
Okay, sorry, just
correct.
want to double check.
okay, the fourth variance, an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, Illinois, granting a garage entrance location variation related to the development and construction of an apartment building located at 27 West Park Boulevard, Villa Park. We have a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Corkery?
I'll second that motion.
Trustee Kumar. Questions or discussions on this one?
So this is varying the garage entrance to Princeton, or?
Yes.
Yes.
That is correct, off of the, instead of on the alley. Okay. Any questions or comments? Seeing none. Clerk Konecki?
Okay, Trustee Salella?
No.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
No.
Trustee Patrick?
No.
President Kazone?
Yes. Okay, the next variance is the visibility triangle variance. It's an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, Illinois, granting a visibility triangle variation related to the development and construction of an apartment building located at 27 West Park Boulevard, Villa Park. And do we have a motion on this one? Trustee Kumar?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second
Trustee
that.
Murphy? Questions or discussions on this one? Okay, Clerk Konecki?
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
No.
Trustee Salella?
No.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. Okay, our final variation is an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, Illinois, granting a streetscape variation related to the development and construction of an apartment building located at 27 West Park Boulevard, Villa Park. We have a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Murphy, do we have a second? Trustee Corkery? Any questions or discussions? Okay, Clerk Konecki?
Okay, Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Salella?
No.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
No.
Trustee Patrick?
No.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. Okay, so the four that planning and zoning allowed did get passed. The two that they did not pass will not pass here. So and the developer will have to discuss that with staff on what we want to do there. Okay, item 9B, an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, Illinois, granting a special use for vehicle body and paint finishing shop for the property located at 225 West Stone Road. Andrew Harline.
This ordinance, if approved, will allow for special use approval of the property located at 225 West Stone Road to operate a whole body and paint finishing shop. Let's Go Motors is the applicant of the special use, currently operates as an auto dealer at its location in the village. The business model is to purchase vehicles and sell, not rebuild vehicles. The applicant indicates clean title vehicles are bought, minor body work is completed, and vehicles are sold. Use of the vehicle body and paint finishing booth is described as an accessory use for the auto dealership. At the July 14, 2022 public hearing, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted 6-2, recommending approval of the special use contingent upon certain conditions as set forth in the ordinance. So the conditions are in the ordinance.
Correct. Okay, do we have a motion on item 9B? Trustee Solel. We have a second. Trustee Kozart? I'll second that. Okay, any questions or comments?
I believe we have the applicants here if you have any questions. Okay. Are you 224? Yes. Okay. That's not on the agenda for tonight.
Oops.
There's,
Do we have to make a motion to?
This is for 225.
Yeah, there's a.
You're 225.
225. Okay, 225. Okay. Yeah, 224 is pulled, and if you wanted to stand and explain that, but I don't think it's appropriate to do it in public. You would.
Yeah, you'll have to discuss this with staff.
Yeah.
I'm wise on here. Suzanne?
Yeah.
Why don't you discuss it with the village manager? Okay, this is for 25 Stone Road, and the petitioners for 25 are here. Is any questions for them? Mr. Kumar.
There's actually no question for them. It's the same issue with the groups. No.
They're similar, but they are different. Each one's a little different.
A little different. Okay.
They both want to do booths, but there are other differences between the business.
Yeah.
Say 225 is.
Just their hazardous materials. Was there? Not only paints are hazardous.
Paint and minerals.
Yeah.
Solvents.
Solvents. Water disposal process, or
Well, the paint booth is to contain them from getting out. And I think have you looked at the
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure the safety is up to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other?
In the past on stone, is this going to impact that in any way, adding more vehicles for repairs?
I believe that was brought up at Planning and Zoning, but and they all, I don't know if this one or 224 where, parking, which had been an issue there, is being addressed as part of the condition.
That's correct. That one of the conditions for approval of this is that all parking related to business will be on the subject property, not with the road, and will comply with all the rules of the village by regulating parking in the public way.
So stacking on parkways can be allowed.
Correct.
That's correct. That's correct. Because
Over on Stone over there's a number of properties without water meters. This particular property, the 225, does have a water meter?
It does. Is in compliance.
Yeah, I believe that was brought up by a couple of people, but this one does. Yeah. Any other questions or comments? Clerk Rennie.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Kozak?
Yes.
Trustee Solella?
Yes.
Trustee Corby?
Yes.
President Cassell?
Yes. Okay, go on to item 10A, resolutions. The resolution of the Village of Villa Park, Dupage County, Illinois, approving an engineering services agreement with Civil Tech Engineering, Inc. of Itasca, Illinois, for Phase 2 design engineering of the Tri-Trail Connector Project, an amount not to exceed $101,184.01. Manager Harline.
Find my spot. The Tri-Trail Connector Project is proposed in the Village of Villa Park's Capital Improvement Plan. The project's objective is, and the cuts off on my page. So the project's the objective is to increase the safety of the pedestrians and bicyclists using the village's trails system, and in conjunction with the bicyclists and connectivity of those trails. The project's engineering design is budgeted for CY 2022 and needs to start in the year to meet the timeline for the FY 2024 SDP grant funding the village has been awarded. So staff recommends approval of an engineering services agreement with Civil Tech Engineering of Itasca, Illinois for Phase 2 design and engineering of the Tri-Trail Connector project in an amount not to exceed $101,184.01. Funding for this agreement will be from TIF 4 and TIF 5 funds. This item does certify the STCG goal number 1. And this project is being done in cooperation with the recreation building, and also part of that TIF funding comes out of the TIF that includes the union. So that is that project is also being coordinated with this Tri-Trail project. So we're hoping that we can move forward with this.
Okay, do we have a motion? Trustee Page?
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, Trustee Salella?
Second.
Okay, any questions or comments? Trustee Kumar?
Okay, one of our previous trustees brought up an issue with a traffic study. If this particular company has involved itself in any kind of traffic study, what they're using in their connection mechanism.
Director Guerrera could probably answer that question better than I could.
So with this funding, and thank you, Your Honor, and Board, I apologize. With this funding, we got funding through the actual CMAP, through the Dupage Mayors and Managers Committee. And part of that is we have to follow IDOT regulations. And through that, there's a formula that they would have to calculate. Since this is a pedestrian trail, we have to look at the use of pedestrians and then the existing traffic. We did pass along, since this project did start before we actually had any of the Lions Center grant or the union came to fruition, we had to utilize the existing traffic at that time. We have passed along the traffic study that was conducted as part of the union, which then looked at the Lions Center as well. And as we go through that design, that does facilitate through, as Manager Harline has indicated. In this next phase, we'll be incorporating now the Lions Recreation Center and the union, or the Catalyst Partners project, into our design to make some minor modifications to accommodate for all that.
I think there's been some discussion about updating counts there, but we have historical counts for a long time before. One of the comments has been, what is the traffic count now as opposed to during COVID when traffic was down, but we have counts from before that as well.
Yeah, thank you. I probably should have mentioned that. Yeah, I think that was one of the comments that we received during our public input meetings with regard to maybe some speeding and counts. So I know Public Works is working in coordination with the police department to put up some of our counters or seats, or speed spy is what I call it.
Yeah,
to kind of see where that's at.
There's a lot of aspects to this. If union goes in, we are expecting to use that parking for the businesses around there, a certain amount of that, so that's gonna brook traffic plus our community center, and there's only one entrance on Wildwood at this point there, so there's a lot of things that are probably gonna sneak up.
Well, and we're looking at different options too. I mean, we have the specific parking recommendation for the rec center, and I don't want to get too far off the Tri-Trail project and start talking about parking, but having the connection, how it connects to the rec center is also being looked at. So we are aware of the parking, we are aware of the traffic, and we're trying to make this, of course, we're trying to make this as safe and usable a path as possible.
And it's a wonderful project, there's no question about it, and I'm glad to see it coming into fruition.
Trustee Stallel.
I'm just wondering what the standard time frame of expiration, if you would, is on a traffic study. Is it a 5-year window that a traffic study is still acceptable within an area of study in the past? 10 years?
Director Guerrero.
I seem to run into this traffic study issue quite a bit.
So it's dependent a little bit. Typical IDOT review, you're typically looking at a 5-year and a 25-year advance. So you look at the 5-year picture frame and then the long-term 25-year frame when you do design of roadways and those sort of aspects. Like when we're doing development, it's a little bit more instantaneous, and then what would that development cause on the current existing conditions? Because that use, then we're looking at uses. We're looking at trip generation from those uses of that development. When you do these transportation projects, we're usually looking at 5 and 25 years.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, Clerk Kornicki.
Okay, trustee Corkery,
Yes.
trustee Murphy,
Yes.
trustee Kozar,
Yes.
trustee Stilella,
Yes.
trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Kumar,
Yes.
president Kazal.
Yes. Go to item 10B, the resolution of the Village of Villa Park, Dupage County, Illinois, approving an engineering services agreement with V3 Companies Limited of Woodridge, Illinois, for Phase 3 construction engineering of the Jackson Pond Improvement Project in an amount not to exceed $198,943.43. Manager Harlane.
The Jackson Pond Improvement Project is proposed in the Village Capital Improvement Plan for this year. The project objective is to expand the Jackson Pond stormwater basin to lessen the frequency and severity of area flooding. Staff recommends approval of an engineering agreement with V3 Companies Limited of Woodridge, Illinois for Phase 3 construction engineering of the Jackson Pond Improvement Project in an amount not to exceed $198,943.43. Funding for these engineering services would be taken from the Stormwater Fund. The village will use a portion of its $4 million disaster mitigation grant from FEMA to pay for these services, and it satisfies one of our short-term complex strategic plan goals. The other part I should say is that there is the construction bids are, we're still reviewing them and should have an agenda item with an ordinance resolution actually at the next board meeting.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion on the resolution? Trustee Kumar? Second?
Second.
Trustee Stilella, any questions or comments? Trustee Kumar?
I'm just very happy to see this come into fruition.
A lot of people are.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Clerk Kornicki.
Okay, trustee Murphy,
Yes.
trustee Kozar,
Yes.
trustee Corkery,
Yes.
trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Stilella,
Yes.
trustee Kumar,
Yes.
president Kazal.
Yes. Okay, item 10C, the resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Addison, the Village of Villa Park, and Dupage High School District 88 for school resource officer services. Manager Harlane.
I passed this resolution, but if passed by this resolution, this agreement would extend the existing agreement between Dupage High School District 88 and the Village of Villa Park for 6 years. This agreement provides for a school resource officer to Willowbrook High School in exchange for payment of 60% of the cost of the SRO, the school resource officer. That's, I guess, a little redundant. The Village of Addison is also part of this agreement. The officer, their officer is assigned to Addison Trail High School. We made a couple of revisions. We submitted this to District 88, and I have not heard their final response. But if there are any, if you approve the agreement and its current version, if there are anything more than minor revisions, we'll bring it back to you.
Okay, thank you.
The school year has started, and the delay in getting it this far was primarily my fault in not carrying it from Dr. Barbonenti to our chief and getting those comments back. So,
thank you.
I don't know if the chief had any comments.
No, just like you said, if there's any strong changes to it, then we'll bring it back.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion. Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like
second.
to make that motion.
Trustee Kumar? Any questions or discussion? Trustee Kumar?
Thank you to the chief and our manager for getting it done.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, and Melissa. No, I was just saying, and Melissa, she helped with, so.
Thanks. Clerk Konecki?
Okay, trustee Kozar,
Yes.
trustee Murphy,
Yes.
trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Salela,
Yes.
trustee Kumar,
Yes.
trustee Corkery,
No.
president Kazone.
Yes. And I'd like to thank our, the officers that we have. They do a tough job sometimes, but they, at least at Willowbrook, they seem to do a nice job there, keeping the peace. Okay, item 10D, the resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a contract with Corrective Asphalt Materials LLC of South Roxana, Illinois, for the 2022 Pavement Rejuvenation Program, an amount not to exceed $68,580.49, and to waive the bidding requirements. Andrew Harlan.
Since the early 1990s, the village has been utilizing this rejuvenating agent known as Reclamite as part of its preventative maintenance program to extend the life of asphalt roadways that have been resurfaced or reconstructed. The Reclamite restores asphalt components that are lost during the pavement aging process and help protect against the air and water intrusion into the pavement, extends the quality of the road surface, delaying the need for other costly road maintenance such as crack filling and patching. Due to limited applicators for this type of product, the village has historically received one bid for this work. In fact, I don't know if there's any other company that somewhat proprietary product. Therefore, staff is recommending to waive the bidding requirements and to award the contract to Corrective Asphalt Materials LLC of South Roxana, Illinois, in the amount of $68,580.49. Funds have been budgeted for this street work in the account 60-502-02-299. It satisfies our long-term complex goal, and it is a product that essentially helps slow down the oxidation of the asphalt pavement. And Director Guerra could explain it better than I if you have any other questions.
Okay. Do we have a motion? Trustee Patrick?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a
Second.
motion.
Trustee Salela? Second. Any questions or comments? Trustee Murphy?
Yes, I just have two. We're referencing the early 1990s in our documentation. I'm wondering, is this still the most cost-effective, environmentally safe, and effective alternative for this process? And have we recently researched other alternatives? That's a long time ago, 1990.
Director Guerra, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. To answer Trustee Murphy's question, and we believe so. 1990s does seem very far, but as roadways are, typically pavement lasts 15 to 25 years. And so to see the effectiveness of the products, it usually takes several years in the transportation side to see how effective it has been. This product has been very effective for our community and slowing the aging of our roadways, which limits the amount of money and then and extend the life of the roadway, extending the time that we need to do crack fill and those items. There are other products that are coming into the market under the term rejuvenators, but they all offer slightly different products, and that's why as Manager Harline kind of stated, really only one applicator for this area. We are exploring them, but some of them are at a higher price, and so we've been hesitant to go that route.
This is for 1 year's worth of work, right?
This is for one's work, yes. Typically, we apply within 1 year, 5 years, and 10 years. I believe that's the cycle.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Trustee Kumar?
The eco aspect of it, it's pretty much the same across the products you've looked at.
So some products are based on different materials. There is some other materials, but my experience in talking with some other municipalities that have utilized them, they don't believe it's as effective as this material.
Do you know what the ingredients to this are roughly? I know obviously you don't have the breakdown because it's...
There's certain acetones, I believe, in this.
Okay.
I think we have the technical sheets.
Okay.
And I think there's other materials that kind of is more like diesel based, so they can be like biodiesel. But this one's more in line. I'm going back from several presentations on my head, but I believe it's more in line with the actual production of what the asphalt is made. More that, like 80% of that oil evaporates within the first couple of years. So it's just trying to inject some of that oil back into the pavement so that it stays flexible longer.
Any other questions? Clerk Pennicky?
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Silella?
Yes.
President Kazal?
Yes. Okay, we'll go down to item 11, public comments on non-agenda items. Do we have anyone signed up?
Yes, Joe Mori has some information he wants to share.
Good evening. Joe Morey, 309 East Maple. First of all, July 16th, the National 988 Suicide and Crisis Prevention Hotline number went live. It's an enhanced system to bring people to the help that they need who are in crisis or considering suicide. Immediately after that, I brought us to the attention of the board and the Traffic and Safety Commission for recommendations, and I'd like to thank everyone involved for the starting to see the 988 stickers on our signs that were created at the railroad access points, especially Public Works Director and all the staff and everyone involved. That's going to be a good fix until the new signs become available. I also wanted to go back to previous comments made about the pedestrian underpasses that are recommended for the Metro Station and Villa Avenue. A couple of things, news reports have come across to my attention and related to this. It was reported on July 12th in Progressive Railroading magazine that the Illinois Commerce Commission approved funding for crossing projects. They do these in 5-year plans. Noted in Belvedere and Boone County, $242,376 for installation of a new automatic grade crossing warning devices. Total cost $255,133. Union Pacific is responsible for paying all remaining costs, which came to $12,757. The Illinois Commerce Commission does the lion's share of the funding for these projects. Since last time I've seen you, the Inflation Reduction Act has passed. It was noted that Representative Sean Caston had recently announced that grant money was awarded for the completion of the Prairie Food Co-op grocery store in Lombard. So money is available for individual congressmen to do earmarks again. And Roger Krishnamurthy is still our congressman until January of 2023. Senators Duckworth and Durbin and President Biden are all strong supporters of railroad projects. Durbin especially, both his parents worked for the railroad, so he's got a strong, affection for the railroad. And also, the state of Illinois announced the Rebuild Illinois funding. It's noted that $33.2 billion was dedicated to road, bridge, and other transportation-related infrastructure. The key phrase there is transportation-related infrastructure. So this has never been a better time to see these projects through. It generally takes about 10 years from proposal to design and completion. Just want to pass out, going through my files, I found news clippings from 2009. I apologize for the poor quality, but it's some scenes of some pictures of the Winfield project as it was under construction. It's basically just a bore through the elevated sections. So again, we appreciate all the help that the board has been giving us in keeping our pedestrians and our residents safe around railways, and we'd like to continue to keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Okay, do we have anyone else that would like to speak on non-agenda items? Okay, we'll go to the village clerk's report.
No report. Thank you.
Okay. Village trustees report, I think we're starting on the left today. Trustee
Okay.
Kumar.
I have a couple of things. I'd like to thank Christopher Bruder for first saving a citizen of Villa Park. I'm urging Willowbrook students to measure the willow trees there to see if they're the oldest. And sign up for library cards if you don't have them. I grew up with the library card. I grew up biking there. Please go do that. I'd like to thank Dan Kraus, Mr. Murphy, Ena Games, and Simon's Restaurant because they came out for the seniors. They had a senior sunrise this past Tuesday, and there were about 250 seniors there who came out, and they were supported by a local entity, which is Ena Games. And they brought out games. It's an entity with two women running in a local. So if you have a business, you want to do some kind of bonding, think about Ena Games. I'd also like to thank Simon's. They're always supporting things around Villa Park. So thank you, Simon's, for that as well. And that is my report.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Corkery.
No report this week.
Trustee Murphy.
Yes, I just have two things. Shout out, thank you to Dunkin' Donuts for hosting the Coffee with a Cop. It was awesome, and one thing that I did notice at that event was both their lids and their cups are recyclable, which you may not have ever noticed, but it is extraordinary. In most instances, the cup is recyclable, but the lids aren't. So we're going to give them extra kudos for having both the lids and the cups recyclable, and it was a great event. We had great weather and a good turnout, and that was a really good thing. Another shout out to our officers that were involved in the accident on Roosevelt Road. We are hoping that they are faring well, and please everybody pay attention and watch when we're driving. And I think it's called Scott's Law. Chief Rivas can help us with that, but please pull around these officer cars when they have people pulled over. That was an extraordinarily scary incident, and it causes you to take notice and remember to be careful when we're driving and be very watchful of our officers that are on the sides of the roads. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Patrick.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I have just a few things. First of all, if you're just joining us tonight, I'd like to reiterate what the Community Fund Commission is doing again with the trees. I think it's an excellent program. But if you see one of these flyers out and about, scan that QR code and learn how you can help find Villa Park's oldest tree. Also, going back to the library, we got some statistics here over the summer, and surprisingly, the library checked out nearly 40,000 books over the summer, which is amazing. Not to mention 57 museum passes were checked out as well. But speaking of museums, Villa Park has its very own museum right on Central Boulevard and Villa Avenue, right on the Prairie Path, ran by the Villa Park Historical Museum. Nice little place, great history there. I highly recommend stopping in and checking it out. Lastly, I would like to thank our village manager, Matthew Harline, his staff, the police department, fire department, VFW Post 2801, the trustees that came out, and all of you residents at home that came out to celebrate Mr. Edward Bye's 100th birthday. He is a Coast Guard World War II veteran. It was amazing. The story was covered on ABC News, and the family reported that they did receive over 100 birthday letters and cards to Mr. Bye to celebrate his 100th birthday here. So thank everybody that did come out and attend that. The family is very thankful, and it's just nice to support our veterans out there. So thank you all.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Kozar.
Just want to thank all the residents that came out for the 27 West Park project, that communicated, that emailed, that made their voice heard. So thank you for that.
Trustee Salal.
No report.
Okay. Village President's report. I've got a few things. The Chamber of Commerce is having their annual bags and burgers and business turnout. It's Wednesday, September 14th from 4 to 8 p.m. on the Prairie Path by the gazebo. It's a really good time. You get to meet business owners from Villa Park, get into the bags contest. And so if you go to the Chamber's website, there's all the information. It's burgersbagsbusiness.com, eventbrite.com also, if you want to get tickets for that. The VFW Post in Villa Park here is having a Stand Up for Veterans function on September 17th, starting at 7 p.m. The show starts at 8. It's $20 pre-sale and $25 day of show. If you go to the Villa Park Post 2801 website, there's information on that. They're also having on October 29th a Rockin' 70s Halloween fundraiser from 5 to 10 p.m. Music from 6 to 9. They just say special guests, so special guests full volume. So it's a $5 cover. Food and drinks are available. There'll be a costume contest, raffles, and prizes. Coffee with the Board, the first Saturday of September, will be canceled due to the Labor Day weekend. Love Your Neighbor Day is coming up September 17th. The sign up for if you need work done is done, but they are still looking for volunteers. That sign up will go until September 4th. If you go to, it's a Christian Church of Villa Park, go to ccvponline.net, and there'll be information on how to volunteer. And this Thursday will be our final concert at Cortese Park. We've had, I think, 13 concerts between Cortese and Kiwanis, and I think every night has been great weather, so hopefully 14 out of 14 on Thursday. I think it's looking good right now, but it looks like it's Howard and the White Boys on Thursday. But last week I was there, and it was a great crowd. Good music and food VFW serves. It was really good. So this Thursday's the last one, so don't miss it. And we will go to our village manager's report.
Just two quick things. First of all, Cheryl Wagner started today as the executive assistant to the village manager, and I think we're all glad to have that position filled. One of the things she's working on as of today is updating and getting a connection with all of our boards and commissions so they know how to get to her and help us get all our minutes and et cetera posted quickly. I think she's going to be a great addition, and if you haven't had a chance to come in and say hello to her, please do so. I'll talk to the board, but she is amenable to the idea of helping to take notes on Coffee with the Board Saturdays. So, I'll be attending the ICMA conference in the luxurious and exotic location of Columbus, Ohio, September 18th through 21st, and I'll get you more information before next meeting. So. Yeah, they've had it in Nashville, and the one year that was canceled was Toronto, and this year's Columbus, Ohio.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Which is, I'm sure it's a wonderful town. It's just very close.
I don't believe we have anything for executive session this evening to discuss, so we will not have executive session. Our next board meeting will be Monday, September 12th. We will have committee. Yeah, we did pass. So we'll have committee of the whole at 6 o'clock, and hopefully our regular board meeting will start on time at 7 o'clock. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Trustee Kozar.
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second? Trustee Kumar. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, none opposed? Great.
I forgot to mention today is Suzanne's birthday, by the way.
Oh, Suzanne. Happy birthday, Suzanne.
Happy birthday to you.
What are you doing?
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday,
Dear Suzanne.
Happy birthday to you.
I think we need a report. Suzanne.